But at the end of the day, it is still a business, and a business relies on networks. So when you're able to network, whether it be through social media or on set or in person at TIFF events or film festivals, who have you worked with? What have you done? And what do you want to do? Are all valid and important questions because they can move the
Yeah.
needle forward on your career, right? You never know. I've booked a lot of work directly because of my previous work with some people or because of my reputation with working with some people. It's like, oh, we heard you were easy to work with, you show up on time, you get your shit done, you don't cause no fuss, and you punch out and go home. We like people like that. Are you free in a couple of weeks to come do this wrestling show for a few days?
Right.
Absolutely, no problem.
Right.
Like,
Right.
we'll make sure you send in an audition, but you've already got the part. It's formalities. It's like, yeah, no problem. We'll play the game. So I know this is a business. I know how this industry works. I'll play the game.
Welcome to Inside the Audition, the podcast that helps actors master the art and science of auditions so that you can stand out for all the right reasons and none of the wrong reasons and book your next lead role. I'm your host, Joey Freddy Larson. Be sure to connect with me on the old Instagram at Joey Freddy Larson. It's my name. That's my handle. JoeyFreddyLarsen. Joey Freddy Larson on Instagram. Slip into my DMs. You can ask a question. You can suggest a topic for an upcoming episode or apply to be the next guest. In every episode, we dive deep into audition experiences, talk about advice and strategies, industry insights, inspiring stories from top actors, directors, producers, casting directors, and film and theater industry pros. So whether you're an emerging actor or maybe you're a seasoned vet, Inside the Audition is your backstage pass to audition success. Success. Huh? How do you like that? And don't forget that Inside the Audition is sponsored by the Monologue of the Month Club. This is a new sponsorship and a brand new thing. The Monologue of the Month Club, which is the ultimate resource for actors who want to master monologues, showcase their talent to agents, producers, casting directors, so that you can attract more auditions and ultimately book your next lead role. You can join weekly monologue jams, monthly workshops. You get professional coaching, personalized feedback, and collaborate with an international community of growth-minded actors. The Monologue of the Month Club is your golden ticket to your next lead role. Roll. You guys hearing that echo? Head over to actorsauditionclub.com for free audition training, tools, resources. Get more info on how you can join the Monologue of the Month Club today. Speaking of today, see what I did there? What a segue. Today's guest is a father, an actor, a writer, a director, a producer, a stuntman, and a champion of sobriety. He's also my co-star in the premiere episode of Tales from the Void, which you can watch on Screambox and Prime. And he's the owner and operator of Screaming Goat Films. Welcome to John Thomas Gauthier, Johnny GT. What's up?
How are you, buddy?
Good, man. What an intro.
Good.
Wow.
What an intro. Like,
was-
it was some great echo on the mic too. You must have a very
Right?
expensive
Oh, yeah.
sound system to be
Yeah.
able to edit and do all those
We have,
echoes and stuff.
we have a whole sound department, sound guy. What's up? Bill, Roger. What's
Yeah.
up, guys? Great.
The hell of a
Great
budget.
work. Yes.
Jamie, pull that up.
Exactly. Jamie? Oh, where the hell did Jamie go?
Hmm.
Great to see you. This is exciting for so many reasons, but one of them, again, not to jinx it, but
Yeah, careful now.
we attempted to do this, I think, 2 or 3 times already.
This is our third time.
We had some tech issues. So yeah, we've been teasing this one for a long time, but great to have you. I want to kick it off with the opening question is just to tell me about a memorable audition experience that changed the way you looked at auditions and or gave you a personal lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on. And I'm
Man.
very happy that I could be here, and that third time's a charm. So you're a great guy. We had a lot of fun on set, and I'm a big fan of your show. No, nothing. We're good. We've already made it past the intro. We're fine, right? We're fine.
Famous last words. Nothing's going to go wrong.
Maintain the connection, please. For auditions, I was actually thinking about this the other night, funny enough. I remember probably 5 or 6 years ago when I was newer into the union, and I got one of my first auditions for a legitimate TV show. It was The Expanse. And I'm a huge Thomas Jane fan. He was the original Punisher, Stephen King's The Mist. He was a great show he had called Hung for a while. Just great, a lot of fun to watch as a fan. And I knew that he was one of the leads on the show. I believe he was one of the EPs as well. And for this particular episode that I was auditioning for, he was going to be directing it as well. So learned my lines. I was pretty good to go. Wasn't too nervous. You're always going to be nervous at an in-person audition. Any actor who says otherwise is full of crap, to be honest with you. But there's always a bit of nerves. But I walked into the room, and who was sitting behind the camera next to the operator, and the reader was Thomas Jane himself. And I was just like, oh God, like nervous right away. And I was like, I gotta blow him away. I gotta really, really knock his socks off. And I made a decision in that room to perform instead of being, or really being the character. Biggest mistake of my auditioning career. I knew right away that's not what they were looking for. Like, he was very nice. He thanked me. He's like, I like the eyebrow raise, really expressive face. Thanks for coming in. But when I walked into that room, I knew that I'd blown it. And it was from that moment on that I was like, no matter how nervous I am, whether it's an in-person audition or whether it's a tape or whether it's a big Hollywood movie or whether it's, a walk-on silent on camera for a commercial, play the character how you think the character should be. That's what they hired you for as an actor. That's why they're bringing you in. Don't try and perform in the way that you think they would want it, because the reason that they're bringing you into the room is they want to see who you believe the character is. And I think that's a really, really important thing that a lot of actors, especially newer actors, really should learn as soon as they can, to make the character your own, be the character, live the character. Don't try and perform it. It comes off as cheap or disingenuine or just fake overall. And it's not what most casting directors or producers are really looking for. So that one really stands out in my mind.
I love that.
Yeah.
But still keep the eyebrow raise every once in a while.
Oh, buddy, this is most of my work right here.
You
That's
got it.
most
You
of my
gotta
work.
flaunt
That's
it.
it.
Yeah.
All my
Um,
tapes are here to here. That's it.
extreme close up.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's it.
Old Johnny Thomas Gauthier is just mustache to eyebrow. That's his
Yeah, that's
go-to.
my shtick.
They actually named that shot the
Yeah.
Gauthier. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the
Um,
cowboy, there's the martini, and there's the Johnny Gauthier.
and then somehow inexplicably a bicep and an ab
I'll
also in
take
that
it.
shot. Yeah.
I'll
Uh,
take it.
can you go a little deeper on the difference? It's a very subtle difference, but you mentioned not performing, and you said something like not performing, but actually just being.
Being the character.
Which
Yeah.
is a very subtle difference, and some people might be listening, especially some
Hmm.
non-actors and actors alike, being like, "What are you talking about? It is a performance. We're supposed to
Yeah.
perform." It's a
Yeah.
subtle difference. It's a little bit semantics, but go deeper with that.
Yes. And I'm speaking obviously personally. I'm speaking
Of
very
course.
subjectively. For me, performing versus being, or we'll say performing versus playing. Performing is you're trying to give the effect of the character, not necessarily the emotion, or if you want to use another word, the motivation of the character, the reason for the character, the reason behind the character, the organic behavior of said character. When you're performing, I would see it to be more beneficial on stage,
Hmm.
where it's to project and to be big and to be loud and to be animated. You're performing a lot of times. Most theaters are quite large. There's a lot of seats, and the stage is not very big. So as you get further back, less and less people can see you. So you tend to be more animated with your movements, projecting your voice, and being a little bit over the top with your performance. A performance, whereas being or playing, really focusing on the subtleties and the little nuances of a character, getting much more inside the character's head, because those smaller movements, the facial expressions, the eye contact, the body language, more often than not, the camera is so much closer on you to pick up those little things that the audience or the cinematographer or the director is looking for, because that's who the character is, because you're being the character and not just performing what a character would be doing. So
Right.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes great sense. And that's what we do here on Inside the
Mhm.
Audition. We go inside here.
Inside.
Yeah,
This is all inside.
a big theme of the show is you've probably heard of the quote, like how you look at something changes the things that you're looking at, or your perception
Yes.
of something really changes that. So, in an example, if you look at something as like, oh, this is going to be really hard and painful and anxiety riddled, then you probably don't look forward to it. Versus you look at something, oh, this is going to be really fun and exciting,
Mhm.
then it's easier to do. So, yeah, I like to get people's take on how they view auditions.
Yeah.
The Luna, quiet. My dog's barking here.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Get back on the train.
We're talking about the subtle differences and, you know, what
Oh,
we do here.
got it.
And
Got it. Follow-up question for you is, yeah, I think it's the idea of when you're performing the character and the person is out here versus just it's at the end of the day it's you. So you don't
yeah.
really need to be too much more than you under those given circumstances. Use your imagination, but you don't
Yeah.
have to. One thing that's unique about you is your look and the physicality. I know that you get a lot of roles where you are the beef, the muscle, the tough guy, the bouncer.
Mhm.
And an interesting example of that is you don't have to perform that. You just present that way.
Yeah.
So versus if you went into an audition and you're like, look at how big and tough I am, and I'm a big tough guy, you actually don't have to do any of that. In fact,
Mhm.
you're most effective when you play the opposite and you present as a tough, heavy type guy, but then when you're
Yeah.
charming and fun and light and positive, then it's like, oh, whoa, so can you talk to a little bit of type versus off type and I'm going to give you some praise here. The first time that I saw you, it was at a film festival in Toronto, and it was a short film where it was comedic. You were hilarious. I think it was couples about they were
Oh,
swingers.
jelly. Jelly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so you have a tool set and a toolkit that I think will make your career and already has made your career super successful, but the sky's the limit because you have the physicality and you're in shape like a Marvel action figure, but also super funny and charming and vulnerable and all that kind of stuff. So just talk about that. I just talked about it a little bit
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
butter
Yeah.
you up,
You
but
gave another great segue.
yeah.
You're the king of segues, brother. That's just fantastic. It's actually a really interesting, we'll call it journey. For the better part of my life, or for the longer part of my life, I was not physically this. Like the big tattooed, bearded, long hair, muscular guy. That's really only in the last, to be perfectly honest, with the last 10 years of my life. So the age of 30 to about 40 is when I started kind of coming into my own in terms of who I felt like I was physically on the inside, and started to build this persona, build this body, build this look, if you will, over the better part of a decade. Before that, I was the skinny, awkward, funny guy.
Wow, that
So
blows my mind. Yeah.
I always relied, not relied, but my skill set, my tools was, you know, quick timing and little jabs and bartending for so many years. You learn so many anecdotes and turns of phrases and sayings and jokes and quips, and you amass this incredible tome of knowledge about everything:
Right.
history, pop culture, music, sports. It doesn't matter what it is. You gather all this information and you're able to turn it around if you have a little bit of natural talent, or if you have a drive in you to perform. So I was able to combine, you know, being comfortable as the funny, awkward, skinny guy, and then put me behind the bar where I learned some confidence. I learned how to better read people and understand the human condition. Combine those together, I had a great base and a great foundation and a great love and curiosity for comedy. And then in my later years, it was like, you know what? I'm a bit insecure. I don't like how slim I am. I've always wanted tattoos. I'm curious about growing my hair out. I had nothing but a little goatee and a very light mustache. Let's try growing facial hair out. So I spent essentially a decade working out, you know, going to the gym, getting tatted up, you know,
Wow.
building this persona, if you will, that I felt safe to be physically while carrying with me some knowledge and some confidence and some drive from the years behind the bar and the years of loving comedy. So now at this point in my career where I am seen as the tough guy, like you said, the on brand stuff. Like I walk in a room, okay, cool. You're the biker, you're the bouncer, you're the tough guy. We know what you can do. But when it's called for, when I have an opportunity to do some funny dialogue or to do some ad libbing or to have some fun on set, I'm more than happy and more than comfortable to play in that world as well. And with what I've been doing in my later projects is more comedy and exploring that aspect as well. And it's been a hell of a lot of fun. So
Which is amazing because I know that you've also started your own production company, Screaming Goat
Mhm.
Films, which then allows you to write characters for yourself and
Well,
play
that's
play
the whole
play all
thing.
of the notes and be whoever you want to be.
That really is the whole thing. And that's why I started the company and I brought on my brilliant business partner, Madison. And for that reason, if they're not going to give us the auditions for the roles that we want, we're going to make our own films and we're going to write those parts and we're going to do it ourselves. And that's what we've been doing. So we just finished our first comedy together. It's just finished in post. It's going to be making its festival rounds very soon in the next few weeks. It's called Confroid. It's a short cop comedy, two actors, back of a police car, 10 minutes. What the hell's going on? And it's
Love it.
really funny. We're very proud of it. So
Amazing. I have a small confession. When I first saw the name Screaming Goat, I was like, oh, cool name. But I did not at all connect goat to Goche for some
yeah,
stupid reason. And when it finally clicked, I'm like, you're an idiot.
yeah,
But also a great name, even if your last
it's
name
and I
wasn't.
can't take credit for the
Yeah.
name. It was
Oh,
my it
yeah.
was actually my son actually, because when I
Nice.
was thinking about starting a film production company, and him and I were having lunch, and I was like, I need the name for a film company. I like wanted to be something different, something that really stands out. He's like, you should do Screaming Goats because your last name is Gauthier, and like the funny goat videos on YouTube. I think that'll be
Yeah.
hilarious. And I was like, let me even see if this is available. So
Right.
you ask if it's available for the LLC, and sure enough, and I was like, well, buddy, congratulations
Nice.
on picking a pretty cool name. And
Yeah.
we'll often get comments when we send in emails for insurance or equipment rental. They'll be like, that's a pretty funny name for a film company. So good
Great
job on
name.
that. So yeah.
Yeah. I love it. And for any of our listeners, viewers, if you don't know what the funny goat videos are on YouTube,
Yeah. Where
just
have you been?
Google screaming goat, laughing goat, goat videos.
Yeah.
Do you have a goat impression, Mr. Gauthier? The
Oh,
goat?
I have it in years. I have it in years. I don't want to scare away your listeners.
Okay. All right.
We're gonna be
Yeah.
animating the logo
Right.
to
Oh
be a
yeah.
screaming goat coming
Right.
out, kind of like the MGM with a lion head, but
Yeah.
it'll be a screaming goat coming out. So
What are they like?
yeah,
But
yeah,
they like
yeah, yeah,
some
yeah. It's like
but the that's a
the
regular
screaming
goat.
one. The
The
screaming one
screaming one
actually
is like,
sounds like someone screaming. But man, like that's like that is awful.
yeah, it's yeah, it's almost like, have you ever heard of Aztec death whistles?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They
Yeah,
blow the horn, and
you
it's
know,
just
yeah,
like, oh my god,
yeah.
that
There's
sounds
not
terrible.
there's a almost a little bit of crossover. It'd be like,
Yeah,
is that a screaming goat or an
yeah.
Aztec death whistle?
Hey, we got you thinking though. We
Yeah,
got you
yeah.
thinking.
No, I love it. Yeah, and such a great like shout out to all the creators out there. But if any part of our listeners are thinking like, oh, I'm stuck, or I wish someone would give me more opportunities, or I'm not getting any emails from my agent, or the industry is slow, or any of that
Hmm.
stuff, it's like we all have these, we all have friends, we have
Yep.
global distribution on the internet. There's so many ways to do it. So do not wait for someone else to give you the opportunity. Just get out there and grab it. That's great. Can you tell us some of your practical tips for preparing for your auditions? So you get an email from your agent in your case.
Mhm.
What's the SOP, the standard procedure for Johnny Goche? And I know it changes every time, but
It does and it doesn't. It does and it doesn't. I mean, it is very situational. I think it's very important, and whether you're a newer actor or a seasoned actor, I would hope that you would agree. Doing your homework is key to success in this industry. And what I mean by that is, let's say, for an example, you get a call from your agent or an email from your agent that you have an audition, and they send you the link on Actors Access or Casting Workbook, or they send you the information for the breakdowns in the email. More often than not, you'll get the information of not just the name of the production and your character and your lines. you'll get who the executive producer is. You'll get who the director is. You'll get who the writer is. You'll get a big part of the major production team. And what I like to do is I will go on IMDb or I'll go on Google and research the executive producer, what movies or what projects they've done, what the feel is, and then the same thing for the director. So, okay, this director does a lot of low budget horrors, so a lot of gory, a lot of campy, a lot of over the top. That's what this director likes. I'm going to incorporate that to play the character how I would want to and organically, but keeping that in mind for what they may potentially be looking for. So still playing the character and not performing, not going over the top, but keeping in mind what the director potentially or the casting director may be looking for. And I will rarely send in just one take. It'll be, unless it's a 3 or 4 minute scene, I don't want to waste anyone's time. They'll know 30 seconds in if they're even going to call you back generally. But if it's a short 30-second, 45-second, a minute scene, send in a couple options, show them your range. And what I like to do after that is I never change place for when I shoot my tapes. I shoot my tapes in my bathroom. The acoustics are perfect. It's a blank wall. There's no echo. Like it's very, very simple. I have my reader sit just outside the bathroom door. Like that's my safe space. I don't like to change that. And another big part of my preparation is really giving myself a lot of time to sit with the character, whether you want it to be journaling or world building or seeing if you can get more of the script or more of the story and trying to understand the reason for this character and the reason that they are the way that they are or the reason that they are being portrayed as the way that they are. Anything that gives you an advantage into the mindset or the world that this character is living in and really really absorbing that and using as much of that as you can in your acting and in your tape or your audition.
Beautiful. I love the idea of following a checklist. Like you do, like what's going to change is the amount of time that you have. Obviously, the role that can be small versus a
Hmm.
large role, and your own life circumstances change. Sometimes we're
Yeah.
traveling, sometimes we're busy, sometimes we're working, not working. But the importance of having a system and a checklist, not unlike how a surgeon has a checklist or an
Yeah.
airline pilot has a checklist, where it's like you go into that mode. And
Mhm.
the importance of looking up the project. A lot of people don't do that, but
It's so key. It's helped so much in
yeah,
the later parts of my career so
yep,
far. Like I have what casting director, I have an Excel sheet. What casting director has booked me for what? What the director was on each of the projects. I keep in touch. I try to keep in touch with whether it be the stunt coordinator or the first AD, or if I can, the director or maybe one of the writers, just to keep in touch every once in a while. Hey, how have you been? Anything new you're working on? This is what I'm doing. I'd love to work together again. Just
right.
dropping little hints every once in a while. Don't be pushy, but drop little hints every once in a while. Stay in contact with the intentions of good graces. But it's it's so funny how if you're prepared and you do this checklist and you make sure everything is good to go and to be as prepared as you can, when you walk into an audition room or when you're going on a Zoom, anything can change. They can say, you know what, we're going to take this line out, or we want you to use an accent, or we want you to cry on camera. Any change is a big change when you have things prepared, but the fact that you were prepared up until that point, you're good to go. You can move forward and not have to worry about these other variables because you're
Right.
so dialed in. You've already hit that check. I know my lines. I know my positioning. I know character one is there. I know character two is there. I know camera is here. I know who is delivering what line. There's so much less for you to worry about that you can really dial in and focus on what you need to be doing. So if a director says add this line in or whatever it is, everything that you already had done, you're good. You're locked in. You want
Right.
to throw something at me? I'm ready for it. It's a slight adjustment and I get to play. I get to improv. I get to have some fun.
The preparation begets freedom, really, is what it does.
Absolutely.
The more prepared you are, and the
Absolutely.
more you have a plan, then you're able to be free. Whereas a lot of people make the fallacy or think the fallacy that, oh, I like to go with the flow, and I'm more of an improv guy, and I like to wing it, and I'm kind of more vibe, and then they skip prep and they skip planning, when really
Mhm.
the opposite would allow them to be more free and more confident.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
calling it in when some people just call in their auditions. They just like, yeah, whatever, I'll do it.
right.
I know my lines. I'll
Yeah.
go in, I'll fire it off and get it done. It's
This
just
is
like, oh,
what I
you
look
really
like.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
This is what I look like. I
Yeah,
can
it's
say
like,
words.
wow, you really want
Yeah.
to be here. Thanks for
Right.
showing up.
Right. Part of the reason I love, like, I'm just going to continue the convo of doing a little bit of research, looking up the directors, the producers, the writers, even remembering who the casting director is and your relationship
Mhm,
with. Part of the reason I like to do that is it gets me more excited. The more I
mhm.
know about something, I start to get a little more invested, and then that
Yeah,
fires me up. Versus if you don't look all that stuff up, it's like, well, why would you be excited to be on something that you don't know anything about? Now,
yeah,
sometimes things are a little veiled and you're not really sure what things are, but do your best so that you can. I like to look at like, ooh, I've like, have they worked on something that I've worked on? Have they worked on something with friends of mine? So I start to have
mhm,
those connections. Like I don't, I'm not ashamed to name drop a comment, like not for the sake of name dropping, but just like,
mhm.
oh yeah, I worked with Johnny on this thing. I saw you guys work with, oh fuck, I love Johnny. And all of a sudden
Yeah,
you're actually making a real human connection with someone
yeah.
because at the end of the
Mhm.
day, that's like, yeah, you got to be a great actor, you got to be a great storyteller, but we're also human beings at work. So you want to get along with the people that you're working with and hanging out with. And so
We are
look into that.
we are human beings at work, and this is very passionate and intense art form that we are participating in. But at the end of the day, it is still a business, and a business relies on networks. So when you're able to network, whether it be through social media or on set or in person at TIFF events or film festivals, who have you worked with? What have you done? And what do you want to do? Are all valid and important questions because they can move the
Yeah.
needle forward on your career, right? You never know. I've booked a lot of work directly because of my previous work with some people or because of my reputation with working with some people. It's like, oh, we heard you were easy to work with, you show up on time, you get your shit done, you don't cause no fuss, and you punch out and go home. We like people like that. Are you free in a couple of weeks to come do this wrestling show for a few days?
Right.
Absolutely, no problem.
Right.
Like,
Right.
we'll make sure you send in an audition, but you've already got the part. It's formalities. It's like, yeah, no problem. We'll play the game. So I know this is a business. I know how this industry works. I'll play the game, but your reputation and your network, oh, they're paramount.
Yeah, and some people flip to the other side where they'll like bemoan and begrudge that as, oh, nepotism, it's all who you know. But it's like everyone wants to work with people that they know, like, and trust
Yeah.
in every industry. So yeah, eventually you got to have the chops and you got to have craft and
Yeah.
you have to prove that you do a good job. It's not like, oh, my uncle gave me the gig. Well, if your uncle gets you the gig and then you go and you're an asshole and you suck when you're on camera and it's just
Yeah.
a nightmare, then it's not going to go too well for you. But yeah,
I
build.
really, really believe in everything that you're saying, and I agree with you completely. Even the way that you described it, well, it's just like every other industry. For everyone out there who is not in film, it is exactly like every other industry. Of course, there's nepotism. That's in every industry. Someone
Right.
knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, or someone is someone's uncle, or someone is someone's kid, and they get walked in the front door. That is inescapable, I think, in any industry, really.
Right.
It happens in ours, of course, but at the same time, the people who work, they bust their ass, they are consistent, they are a joy to work with, they build a solid reputation, and they have great morals, ethics, and fundamentals. They're going to get the call a lot because they're a joy to work with professionally, socially, and economically. Like, if you ever watch a movie and you know that the actors have had a great time, isn't that movie much more enjoyable to watch? Even if it's a terrible movie, but you're like, man,
Right.
they had
Man, we
fun.
had fun. Yeah.
They had fun. And like with Tales of the Void, we had a lot of fun on that set. And it turned out great. And I really think that energy comes through the screen. So it's just like every other industry where, yeah, there's nepotism and there's people that get bumped ahead, but your hard work, your commitment, and your dedication are absolutely paramount to success in this industry.
Yeah, it was a perfect segue because I wanted to briefly touch on Tales from the Void. We were in the premiere episode of that called Into the Unknown. It's on
Hmm.
Screenbox. I think it's on Prime
Yep.
Super Channel in Canada.
Hmm.
Aside from the hotel omelet bar and the waffle bar, any standout experiences on that, or it could be related to the audition process or just the experience being up there. It
It
was
was It was great. Smallest airport I've ever been to, for sure. That was definitely the smallest airport I've ever been to. There was whatever. I think it was what one runway.
Yeah, it
I
was
think it
real
was one
small.
runway, right? Yeah,
when
that's
when we wrapped, like essentially the whole lead cast and a couple crew people were, we just rolled into that airport, like small, very regional, small town in Sault Ste. Marie,
yeah,
small town Canadian. And then all these giants come in, kind of Hollywood looking. We all have the afterglow of, oh, we just shot a fucking cool movie
yeah.
too.
Great
We're
rap,
all
great experience,
we all
great
have
rap.
big booming voices. So I kind of
Mhm.
got the sense like the whole I think the town also had a sense that something was going on, like there had been some
Yeah,
press that they were shooting at. So I kind
yeah.
of did feel eyeballs and ears be like, who the fuck are those
Yeah,
guys?
who are these guys sitting at the table eating beef jerky? It was a lot of fun. It was the first time for me to shoot like a really some really intense violence
Mm,
in terms like especially like that bathtub scene. We don't want to spoil
right,
anything, but that bathtub scene,
right.
the way that we shot it and the way that it was done was great. And to anyone who's seen this scene, it looks brutal and it looks exhausting, and it was like it was we were giving Big Sean Sims and I were giving it in that scene, and it was a lot of fun. And that was the same day where we had to trash the bedroom because that was the
Right,
that was the last
right.
day for that set.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
when they were like, "You guys got to trash the bedroom," and you're actually going to trash the bedroom. So
yeah.
anything that you think you can break or flip or throw, we had it was I can't remember of the name. I think it was Mike who was the camera operator, a little shorter guy. He was all rigged up with the cam in with the shoulder mount and everything, holding
Right.
it. And,
Steady cam. Yeah.
yeah, and Francesco was just like he's gonna stay out of your way as best as he can, and you and Sean, but we're both big guys. Like I'm 6'5", 240, 245. Sean's about the same height and closer to 280, 290. So two big guys in a bedroom. Like we filled half the bedroom.
Rarely do I feel small, and when you guys
Yeah.
were flanking me,
Yeah. So we got to
yeah,
trash that
rock,
bedroom. And I mean,
rock
flip
steady
the
and bebop.
mattress,
Yeah.
bebop and rock steady. Like we've called ourselves that many, many times. So and we got to really trash that bedroom and be real violent and have fun with it. And that was so much fun. Like that whole scene where we busted the door in, the
Oh
whole
yeah.
the whole apartment scene was probably my favorite
Yep.
of the shoot.
And it was like 5 o'clock in the morning on the last
Oh
day.
God,
Yeah.
yeah, we were so tired,
We're all
and it was the
jacked up
most
on
physically
coffee. Yeah.
demanding. Yeah, yeah. How much coffee can three men consume? And it was a lot of fun, and we went for it. And then on the other side of things, where we got to really do some stuff with not with prosthetics, but with CGI, where they were doing the modeling and all that kind of stuff,
Mm.
where we had to like have our heads against the wall. You couldn't move for a minute because they were 3D scanning
3D
our
scans
heads.
so we can be in the AI world forever.
Yeah, yeah, that was a real fun shoot. That was a
Yeah.
real fun shoot.
Yeah.
Most of it was great memories, and the rest was good memories. So it was all
Yeah.
positive.
Yeah, totally. Shout out to Sean Sims, who was on an earlier episode. Francesco was on an episode.
Hmm.
Martin Roach did an episode
Oh
as
yeah,
well too.
yeah,
Yeah, amazing. And hopefully we'll have a few more. Can you tell us what's up, what's coming up for Screaming Goat? What do you got on the
yeah,
horizon? Aspirations? Let's
absolutely.
let's manifest some of the
Yeah.
next things.
Well, my super awesome business partner just got back from a trip from LA or a trip to LA, and she was out there networking and pitching some projects. One of the projects is a feature that we're working on. So it's a horror. I can't say too much about it, but it's something that is very, very dark and sinister going on in the woods. Something that
Ooh.
is very
Nothing
connected to real life and
nothing good ever
something.
happens in the
No,
woods,
nothing good ever. Why do people keep going
especially
in the
at night.
woods? Why do people even camp anymore? There's nothing
Yeah.
good that ever happens in the
Stay out
woods.
of the woods,
Yeah,
for
stay out of
God's
the
sake.
woods. You'd think people would learn, but so we've got a feature horror that we're working on. We've also got a TV show that I've been writing, all about the ins and outs and the happenings of the bars and the nightclub world. So similar to there was a show, a movie years ago called Waiting with Ryan Reynolds,
Hmm.
and there was another movie with the Broken Lizard guys who did Beer Fest and Super Troopers. It's called Slam and Salmon. So very, very comedy. So there's a horror feature, and then there's a comedy, a sitcom, if you will. show that we're working on. So we're in pre-development or pre-production for both of those. You know how it is. It's the right people at the right time. So we're moving forward with those projects. And like I had mentioned earlier, we have just finished our second short. Our first one is a thriller horror called Stairwell. That is currently in the festival circuit. It'll be released on socials and hopefully on some streaming maybe later on this year. And then the comedy that we just finished is called Con Freud. So cop and robber short, very dialogue heavy, really, really funny. Think Brooklyn Nine-Nine or a very
Love it.
elongated, extended SNL skit, like all
Yeah.
dialogue, all situational, fun little twist at the end. So I'll send you that. I'll send you the screener for that. It's
Yeah,
really,
please
really
do.
funny.
Please do. I'd love
Yeah.
to work with you on some comedy stuff. We were
Oh,
at
we're gonna, but and so the goal for this year is to do 4 to 6. 6 is ambitious, but to do four more projects for
right.
2025 and really solidify the company as an up and coming powerhouse for independent filmmakers. So we love to collaborate with many different directors. Brian Quintero, who
Yeah,
would be a
BQ
great.
special.
Has
Love
he
him.
done your
Yeah.
show yet?
He is not. No, I got to reach
He
out
would
to
be a
him and give him a
great
slot.
guest.
Yeah, he would.
I'll
Yeah, I love
reach
Brian.
out to him.
Yeah,
He's fantastic. He directed Con Freud and incredible. Not only a good actor, but I learned a very good director as well.
right.
So we had a blast. And yeah, we love to collaborate. We love to build a bigger table. You know, we really want to bring the right people in and work with more people and find and build our community and do what Sandler and guys like that do. You know, find
Exactly.
your buddies and make movies
Yeah.
with them for the next 30, 40, 50 years, whether they, go belly up at the box office or they make 500 million. I don't care. I just want to make films.
Right.
So,
Love it. I also want to touch on, I mentioned in the intro, in addition to your physical transformations, you've made some lifestyle transformations. I know that on Instagram, you use that
mhm.
platform to share some of that and your transition into sobriety, which is also really interesting because you were a bartender for so long, so you're in that
Still am.
lifestyle. So
Mhm.
can you speak to that and specifically to like I know the way you use your platforms, you're not trying to convince anyone and or judging moral reasons. It's just, hey, if if alcohol and or drugs is something that you think is slowing you down and something that you've been wanting to get out of,
Mhm.
share a little bit of your journey and maybe some help for someone who was like, yeah, I gotta dial that shit back.
Yeah. I really I really approached it when I decided to quit drinking. I really told myself that I didn't have a drinking problem. I had a problem with drinking. And the difference is, if you have a drinking problem, either you can't stop or you can't be trusted at home with a bottle of booze in the building, or this or that, or this or that. For me, when I say that I had a problem with drinking, it was that each time I would go past the point of a couple of socials, I would be making choices that I knew were not healthy, whether it be physically healthy or mentally healthy or financially healthy.
Right.
You turn in some people. I was one of those people. I turned into a drunk millionaire. It's just like, what are you
Yeah.
drinking? I've never met these people before in my
Me
life. What are
too.
you
Yeah.
drinking? Let's get a round of shots, a
Yeah.
tray of shots for people you're never going to see again, and
Just to feel
being
important.
just
Yeah.
to feel important, feed the ego, all that kind of stuff. So I recognize that with the hangovers and the financial burden and the stress on my various relationships, whether they be professional or romantic or casual, you know, some things weren't aligning anymore. So I was like, I'm gonna dial it back and I'm gonna give myself 3 strikes. So if I hit 3 strikes where I do 3 things that I really shouldn't have done, or 3 things that are dangerous or real stupid, I'm out. I'm done. I'm giving her
Love
up
that.
cold turkey. And I gave myself 3 strikes and I hit 3 strikes. I hit those 3 strikes in, let's say, 10 months. And I was like, I made a deal with myself and I'm a man of my word. And it may be difficult, but I'm going to stick to it. And January 1st, 2023 or whatever it was, so just
Mhm.
over 2 years ago, I had my last one and I was like, that's it. I'm done. It just, when you're hungover, I didn't want to write. I didn't want to learn my lines. I didn't want to go to the gym. I didn't want to see my girlfriend. I didn't want to see my friends. I wasn't present. Like I really wasn't present in my life that I'm so lucky to have and so fortunate I came to this city 8 years ago, end of 2017, for I had a job lined up. I was going to be closer to my son, and I wanted to follow my acting career. I wanted to be taking a stab at it and, taking a real shot at it. That's why I'm here. So I was standing in my own way. And I was
Mm.
like, I'm no longer going to stand in my own way. I'm just going to do everything that I can. And it just so happens to be that everything right now is the alcohol. So that's got to go. And it's not always easy. It's not. No one's invincible. I mean, every once in a while I kill for a beer. I miss having a nice tequila on the rocks, but knowing what I'm capable of and how clear I am with absolutely no alcohol in my system whatsoever, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like I'm sitting on a bar. I have a full bar at home. So when I have friends over, they can have all the booze that they want. They can have a
Right,
great time. I don't care. I'm not going to judge. You do you, but
right.
I am more than okay without it. Thank you.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for most people, eventually, like when you're younger, it's really fun and it can be exciting. Like,
Mm.
I mean, obviously, there's the physiological addiction of the drug itself, but we get tricked into thinking, oh, this is fun, or this is, or like, how will I have fun with my friends now?
Hmm.
But when you look at it, it's just it can often for a lot of people it dulls them, or it's an emergency break on their life, and
Yeah.
it's ultimately not useful, and
Yeah,
it's
well, it's
poison.
scary. I mean, it is poison in the definition of the sense that alcohol is literally a poison. Like
Right.
the feeling of you being drunk, that's your body reacting to
Yeah.
poison. Like,
It's
that
your
is what it
brain
is.
going, uh-oh,
That's
what the
this is
fuck?
not supposed to be in here. That is what it is. And I'm all for, you know, if you want to have a nice glass of wine with dinner, or if you want to celebrate an event with a champagne toast or whatever it is, that's fine. That's totally up to you. But for me, it's just like I don't see the point. Like I'd rather just not have any. If I'm only going to have a little bit
Right.
of poison, I'd rather not have any poison. So
Right.
the options are a lot, a moderate, a little bit, or none. And it's poison. I'll take the none. Thank you. Like
Right.
you do whatever you want to do. I'll take the none.
Right. Yeah, it's everybody's got to figure out what's useful and not
Mm.
useful
And
for
that's
them.
fine. And that's
Yeah.
fine. Like kudos to anyone who's able to have like a nice glass of Beaujolais with a great cut of steak. Cool.
Right.
Good for you. I'd rather not. So
Right. Love it. Final thoughts to actors out there, any inspiring words, advice on how to attract bigger auditions, land bigger roles?
I really try and tell as many people as I can the same thing, whether it be in person or on a podcast interview or in an email or whatever it is. At the end of the day, have fun.
Mm,
Like really, really do this because you enjoy it. If you come into this industry only for the fame or the money or whatever it is, you're going to learn pretty quick how difficult this job is. You get 99 no's before you get a yes, and you got to be able to handle those 99 no's with grace, with empathy, and with humility, and take those no's and use those as your superpower and as your building blocks to create your own success. And the only way that you're going to survive and embrace those no's for anything is if you truly enjoy doing it. So make sure that you're having
right.
fun, create your own stuff, have fun. And like we were talking about earlier with the networking, when you meet people and you talk to people and you share your passion, you have these discussions and you start to work with others, your energy and your reputation shine through so visually. You become so appealing and so magnetic and so attractive that it becomes palpable. It's tangible. Like people just want to be around you.
Right.
People want to work with you. It has nothing to do with your look. It has nothing to do with your abilities. It has nothing to do with your economic status. If you're projecting the energy of I'm having fun, I want to be here, I love doing this, that is intoxicating.
Mm,
And people want to be around you, and you will get those opportunities based on that love and that passion and that joy that you have. I promise you that.
fun is fun.
Yeah,
Fun might
man.
be the funnest thing.
It's definitely in the top two funnest things.
Let me ask you this, Johnny. Have you ever been having fun and thought, oh, this is no fun?
No, I
Never.
can't say that. I can't
No,
say that I have.
no. Anytime
Can't
you're having
say that I
fun,
have.
it's so fun.
Hmm.
Yes. And speaking of fun, this has been fun at long last. We're going to wrap things up here. We'll bring the ship back to port. Thanks
Hmm.
again to our guest, John Thomas Gauthier, for joining us and sharing his unique journey. Make sure to follow John at John Thomas Gauthier. We'll also link it up in the show notes.
Hmm.
And for anyone watching, listening, if you're a professional or emerging film and theater actor or director, casting director, producer, you're making bold moves. That is what we do here. We interview industry pros at every stage in that journey to share their practical tips, wisdom, inspiration. So you can apply to be a guest on a future show if you go to insidetheaudition.com. Once again, that's insidetheaudition.com. And one more time, too. If you are ready to master your monologue, showcase your talent to agents, casting directors, and producers so that you can attract bigger auditions and ultimately book your next lead role, you can get started today by accessing our free training at actorsauditionclub.com/free. Get it? actorsauditionclub.com/free. And remember that every audition is an opportunity to showcase your unique talents to the world, land your next life-changing role. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time on Inside the Audition. Audition.